did. These two 7th and 8th teams, Montreal Rebellion and Uprising Academy, must win their series in order to be in contest for that 6th playoff spot. So charging straight out of the spawn here, we got Second Wind, and reprising his role as one of our new most favorite main tanks is Frill.
Yeah, Frillium trying to do his best here, and he actually played really, really well last week. Second Wind got pushed to the brink. They ended up taking the victory. They've been inching closer and closer to that loss as the season has gone on. They're repping, I think, between a 50-60% European crew this time around, but Second Wind also has a little bit of magic. Today, magic hasn't been as strong for our teams, but Second Wind still wants to change things around. But Montreal Rebellion is on the objective right now. Second Wind are going to have to come in into Montreal Rebellion's positioning. The Arm Pack already went on to Frill. He's going to keep the shields up, so that extra damage mitigation is not going to be available. Being
yeah, A10 now catching up towards Logix, but there's no prize for most improved early grab from Logix, and despite a well-timed transfer from Heat on Frill is still bursted down. However, the trade for Sherrick is still there.
And so Second Wind actually coming out on top in these trades. They will own the point. Montreal Rebellion were unable to take it over during that fight. So Second Wind are going to start out on the board. But looking on the other side of Montreal Rebellion, we've got gods at that self-destruct. There isn't one at the other side. Logix lagging behind in that Graviton charge, though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you really hope that grab, you can get an early kill before the Transcendence healing kind of gets situated right there. And unfortunately for Montreal Rebellion, although they're able to trade their Reinhardts, we have Hedon in this backline for Second Wind, putting in so much damage Montreal not able to overcome. However, Sharik will have that Shatter to potentially open things up here, but Second Wind can have a lot of cards in their hand.
Good support going on to Frill. The 3-way tank, Earthshatter is going to go down and only get gods. Earthshatter coming the other way now. Gonna get 3 members. Montreal gonna find a little bit more value out of their Reinhardt's Earthshatter, and they will be owning this point. So we're already seeing that back and forth, Ham.
Exactly, and while Frill certainly, stunned all of us with his performance on main tank last week in that last second kind of desperate scramble for Second Wind to, mount a full roster with all 6 players, Montreal Rebellion now have Gods and Sharik on this tank line. And Sharik, of course, coming from a different team as well. He's well known as an aggressive Rhine, but he also knows how to take that aggression, hold it back just a little bit, and turn it into a punishment kind of situation if Frill overextends. So Montreal Rebellion working that very well so far.
And so the rallies are going through. Sher going to get that pin kill onto Hello on Halo to start things out, and that's not going to be it for Montreal, as they're just going to take Second Wind down a notch before they come even touch the objective.
Yeah, Second Wind again now have tools. The ultimate economy has kind of swung their way again, but the hardest part of Night Market is just getting out of this choke unscathed, because Montreal Rebellion Sharik will now have a Shatter once more. And while Second Wind have A10's Graviton Surge, he's coming from spawn, so he won't be nearly as high charge as Logix, and you're really relying on your Zarya to be your primary damage dealer. So Second Wind probably have to be looking at a pretty long, drawn-out fight.
And so let's see if they're going to be able to find it. Montreal Rebellion doesn't want that to happen, and they're going to match it with those ultimates. Transcendence going to be starting things off from T-Dan, knowing that Montreal Rebellion doesn't have the Graviton Surge. The only reason why you would see a 10-foot trans like that, but God's going to go ahead and get 2 kills with that self-destruct, making this a 5v4 for Montreal Rebellion. Second Wind going to have to come from behind. They're going to need to find a pick, and they actually do just that with the boot kill onto Sharik. Self-destruct now on the objective. No one's on it, so no kills. Goliath going to bring Montreal Rebellion back on this fight. Eventually, these spawns are going to come back. Derek's going to be left behind for a little while, but Montreal Rebellion, they'll get those kills. Second Wind are going to have to wait a little bit longer, but they're running out of time.
Yeah, I mean, Frill trying to make something happen with that Earthshatter right there, but it only gets 1. Montreal Rebellion still own this point, and they're going to take the whole thing at this second. 3 seconds left now, in Montreal Rebellion just going for that cleanup. I can't stress how important that boop from Tensa was to displace the shields from Second Wind and allow for those 2 bomb kills to come through, because otherwise then Second Wind, with that single boop kill from Hello I'm Halo may have been able to, come back in here with the superior numbers and make things a little bit more interesting. But as it is, ultimate, rationing was an issue for them in that last round.
So what was the biggest difference between the 40% that Second Wind was able to grab at the beginning beginning of that game versus not being able to flip it back after they had lost the point? What was kind of the defining factor of their inability to capture the objective?
They just weren't really getting any value for those ultimates. So remember, both of the Rhines were traded early on with both of the teams investing that grab, but Second Wind's backline was able to get a couple of frags. So that's what turned the tide for Second Wind in that very early fight. But once they gave it up, they could never quite regain that same footing. But it's a clean slate here as we head into Gardens. Again, both of these teams really hoping to get that first capture. It's so much easier to play defense, even on a control map, than it is to try and engage.
Yeah, when people have to walk into you can react a little bit easier. Second Wind and Montreal Rebellion are going to see each other both after crossing the bridge on their respective near ghost compositions. And Sherrick's going to have to move back a little bit. You're seeing a 19% charge. It's not as good as Frill's right now, but that's going to shoot right up once we do see a proper engage from both of these teams. They're going to go ahead and open the point, and that's when we're going to see this engagement. Barbie trying to use that defense matrix to stop and mitigate the damage coming on to the rest of Second Wind, but he's taking so much damage himself. He's going to have to leave that space, and that's going to leave Frill right open.
Exactly. There just wasn't any more room for Frill and Barbecue to back up their Montreal, just continue to pressure them, press their foot down on the throat of Second Wind, and they get the first point cap for their troubles right here. And Montreal Rebellion, you know, kind of, it's just a night and day look for this team now that they have, you know, a different tank lineup here. These days, we talk a lot about, you know, GOATs and what makes a good GOATs team, but your Reinhardt's ability to go aggressively, even if that's not like his play style 100% of the time, is such a valuable tool, and Sharik has been able to provide that for Montreal Rebellion.
And so they're going to see each other on the objective once again. There's pulls on both sides. There's one more from Montreal Rebellion. Is Logic's going to use that grab on to try to counter that with an Earth Shatter, but didn't find anything, but he does find a kill. More kills, though, coming Montreal Rebellion's way. That D-Max, though, so very important. And then Sharik going to use that Earth Shatter. That's tip-top right there from him. Second Wind going to have to try again. No percentage on the board.
Again, that's one of those cases where you get so much value. If Sharik could have easily tried to open up that fight with a Shatter, but he waited to see kind of how things were developing. And because Frill was taken out by that self-destruct, he knew that he had almost a guaranteed free Shatter. We would be able to catch some of the members of Second Wind, and that's when he lets loose. However, things are looking a little bit more difficult for Montreal to hold now, as they're down to the single sound barrier from Tensa, which is going to have to weather both this grab from A10 and the self-destruct from Barbie.
Not having that Transcendence versus the grab can be a deficit towards your team. The team Montreal Rebellion are going to overcome those statistics. Second Wind now going to go ahead and drop that grab. Now let's check Montreal Rebellion's health bars. The self-destruct doesn't get anything, and only one pick onto Logic means the Montreal Rebellion definitely not out of this fight yet. They still actually have an advantage. Montreal Rebellion do all of a sudden, because of those ultimates, they're going to come back with the advantage instead, as Montreal Rebellion do lose those members, and there is a reset that needs to take place. But Second Wind are able to flip this point, but they have to keep winning every single fight from here on out.
Yeah, that's going to be the tough uphill climb for Second Wind here. You know, just by the way, wanted to point out these players, A10 and Barbecue, and Azire. You may not be as familiar with them, you know, on this Second Wind roster, but Barbecue, you know, a veteran of the EU Overwatch scene. A10, he was, you know, a Zarya player, lighting things up with Triumph Gaming and HSL all the way back in OpenDiv. So Second Wind, they're working with some new members, but they're not new to this competitive Overwatch scene.
And so a lot of the members of Second Wind are already down in health.
Two support ultimates are still in their back pocket, though, to buffer them through what's going to be a very ultimate-laden fight here. Montreal Rebellion still just looking for their opportunity. Grab comes in, and Transcendence is there. The boop, the displacement doesn't manage to find any connection. Killed by A10, helps himself to a nade to the face, takes him out here, but Frill able to make things up. And so for now, Second Wind still able to hold on.
Yeah, A10 taking himself down by his own hand. That's respectable, but Second Wind,
Can't
though,
fire me, I quit.
Yeah, exactly. Second Wind going to be coming back with two ultimates. Looking at Montreal Rebellion, the only one over 50% right now are Logic's and Tensa. Not going to get very close, so is Sharik, but they're not going to be at an advantageous fight until this next one. So if we go by the book, Second Wind should win this fight based off the fact they have the bigger big combo with that Graviton Surge. Self-destruct, but not if it gets eaten. Gods is going to go ahead and feed his belly some Graviton Surges. Montreal Rebellion going to even this up. Barbie's going to have to throw naked Graviton self-destruct into the backline, but Sherrick is going to go ahead and get those two kills. Logix was able to get to the Graviton Surge in a time, and so all because of that Eden grab, Second Wind lose all of their advantage going into that fight, and that is why we're seeing Montreal Rebellion win this round and go up 1-0, and their playoff hopes are still alive. And just to kind of redo all of those scenarios, Montreal Rebellion have to win in order to get into playoffs. Even if they win, they still might miss out, depending on how Uprising Academy does in our next game against Chicken Contenders.
Yeah.
But in the end, this is exactly how you want to start if you're Montreal.
Oh, absolutely. Taking control, which is kind of, a toss-up for many of those teams. It's always going to make you feel good. Also, worth pointing out that Montreal and Uprising Academy, there's only one slot left, and these two teams are only separated by one map win. So things couldn't be any closer. And to Second Wind's credit, they definitely gave it the old, college try, but there is a lot to be said just for the fact that, Montreal coming in here, they've been playing with these members for quite some time. Shariq and Gods, two recent additions, but very experienced in and of themselves. So really nice to kind of just see that come through. Gods just being his good old usual consistent grab gobbling,
Yeah, we've got two very different ways of creating a new team, right? We've got Montreal Rebellion with a stacked roster. They've had a stacked roster on paper for a really long time. And so do you think that Gods and Shariq are upgrades versus what they had? And I kind of want to just finish over what Second Wind is doing. They're building from the ground up again, right? And so we've got some Contenders, trials players from the European side of things. Hedan is that journeyman that's been on a ton of teams, but hasn't really broken into that upper echelon just yet. It's really interesting these two teams coming together, but going off of what we were just saying, does Montreal get an upgrade with their new main tank?
I would say so. Nomi, Hui, Chain, all very experienced and quality players in their own right. But whatever it is, it's kind of the same with what happened with Mayhem Academy, right? You keep some of those old players, you swap out some, and maybe there's not really a huge rhyme or reason, but for whatever it happens to be, Gods and Shariq have been finding, success and payoffs for Montreal Rebellion now that they're in the roster. So I still think that, the ability for your main tank to go in aggressive and to have that confidence and that, drive to just hammer people in the face and 180 flanking shatter, sure, why not? Let's go for it. I think that kind of possibility makes teams so much scarier, not just, on paper, but in execution in the way that Montreal have been playing around that so far. Second Wind, again, we all know and love this team, kind of that lovable, scrappy, unsigned team that's been through, more players than we have in, some regions at this point.
The consummate underdog, right? Even though they're 5-1, they're still the underdog in, I think, this game, particularly just by looking at these rosters and how they look right now. And so Montreal Rebellion is going to use Naga on this pair. Logix is going to try his hand at this Sombra. So we're going to be really seeing Logix, one, get the scouting, but also try to race to that EMP and knock all the shields away from Second Wind as Naga trying to pepper in some damage to the sky.
Yeah, we've seen this composition work very, very well in Mayhem Academy's hands with the Pharah and Sombra. But we've yet to see, how Montreal Rebellion are going to do against Second Wind, who are going to try and swap things up. I would say wisely, see how Frill does on the Winston rather than the Reinhardt, where you have even less self-determination than a Monkey that can dive around and use that mobility, even get in Pharah's face.
And so maybe looking for some boot kills. Does get one onto Hedan, so now going to start things off really well. That's going to be a really nice kind of motivational booster for Montreal Rebellion to start things off with an environmental kill like that.
Yeah, Fade doesn't work vertically, unfortunately, for Hedan. And while Montreal haven't really won, a concerted team fight, this is all still really good stuff. Second Wind, they're scrambling, they're swapping over heroes. A10 now on the McCree. He does, love playing that Ashe and that hit scan role, so this is probably, a hero in his capable hands, but they've lost so much time. 2 minutes, 43 seconds. Best case scenario, they might be looking at a coalescence.
Yeah, they're rushing to the point. They're going to go ahead and use that rocket barrage, and it sounds like it is going to be finished off. And Desire going to be taken down because of it. Montreal Rebellion in good and complete control right now.
Yeah, Naga right here, utterly free in the sky. A10 taking the world's worst time to nap. Oh no.
Single
Fist
rocket to the face. That's what feels bad, man.
You get the melee finisher too, so you feel even worse when you look at the kill feed. Second wind now, though, they are coming into their ultimates. High Noon will be available for A10, along with that Coalescence that Hedon has not yet had the chance to use. But Montreal Rebellion, they're completely comfortable just sitting back and allowing Second Wind to, you know, smash their faces against their bullets, their hacks, their Tesla cannon.
So the Rocket Barrage and the EMP is an option here, but they actually choose not to invest the EMP because they already took A10 out. The threats for Naga are gone, so Naga can kind of hold on to this until the Rocket Barrage is absolutely needed. With a minute and 38 seconds left, why not cause Second Wind to reset and keep on those ultimates? But Sharik, though, going to go ahead and use the Primal Rage and to, you know, stop Second Wind from coming in for a little bit longer, but that's something that he might want back. Coming into this next fight as Second Wind are going to be coming in with 4 ultimates. Rallies already there. Good defense matrix coming in from Second Wind. Rocket Barrage completely nullified because of it. Frill going to get that first pick, and so Montreal Rebellion are down a member right now. Second Wind have that 65 and A10 with that Deadeye. The flying members of Montreal Rebellion did avoid the Deadeye, but that means there wasn't a rocket going into the bodies of Second Wind. They had to hide, and Second Wind are able to grab this point in the nick of time, under a minute left. After the last, you know, 2 games, you've seen this first point taken so quickly. So pretty good defense from Montreal Rebellion. Second Wind do eventually break through.
Yeah, undoubtedly. I'm curious if Logic is actually going to stay with this Sombra. Would definitely be good just to use that ultimate since you've worked so hard to get it. So looks like Montreal will be sticking with this Vara, actually. Naga is pretty close to that barrage, and he holds all of those high ground cards. Second Wind have to be looking up in order to scout out all of these dangers, and that's a very difficult thing to do.
EMP goes through. 4 members on Second Wind are hacked, but the ones with the ultimates are not. That might prove to be a good, you know, omen for Second Wind, but Montreal Rebellion do find themselves up a member 6B at 5. The payload is inching its way closer to the second point as Naga still has that Rocket Barrage, but the Barrage getting very, very quickly in terms of getting into his pocket. Naga, the only one with an ultimate on Montreal Rebellion right now.
Yeah, but they might only need one. Second Wind, again, remember, because A10 is so immobile, even if Barbie and Frill all in dive onto the high ground, they're going to be leaving their backline very vulnerable, Zyra being the only one who can kind of provide any shielding or keep away ability. So Second Wind are just going to take that full rotation onto the high ground with all 6 members.
Let's see if it will work out. HamTornado, there is going to be a bird in the sky, and that's going to be Naga. We're going to want to clip Naga's tweets eventually, though. This is a really great way to do it. Goliath almost getting caught by that Deadeye. A10 just going to take a slow walk and then get that kill. That was almost a long walk to nothing right there, but they end up getting some value out of it as the Rocket Barrage is going to be coming in, trying to even things up. But it looks like Second Wind's still going to be able to get on this payload. Only 1 casualty on the Second Wind side, and that's A10. Good purple onto Frill, but they are unable to beat that kill. This is still anyone's game.
Second Wind spent so much time getting onto the high ground only to end up falling off, so that cart really didn't make a ton of difference. And as you said, Boop, 1 kill here or there does not a cohesive push make. Hedon gets the Coalescence completely erased.
Yeah, the EMP going to be coming through just in time. Naga trying to get a little bit more damage, already 50% up to the other Rocket Barrage. Sharik going to go ahead and use that Primal Rage. This has been one long fight. This is going to turn out to be a war of attrition. And looking at these health bars right now, it is still pretty even though God's got DMAC. A10 is back in spawn. So Second Wind has got 5 members and less than a minute to go. They've got to make something happen on this payload, and they're doing exactly that. Is Naga going to be able to bring this back from Montreal Rebellion? Oh. Maybe he will, as 2.5 kills coming in from Montreal Rebellion. There's only 45 seconds left for Second Wind to come back.
These are some decidedly unfriendly skies for Second Wind as Hedon overstays his welcome on the cart. And Naga doing a bit of a Mangachu cosplay right now, and Second Wind falling into that Fusion University pit of trying to make this McCree work time and time again. How many whiffed, you know, dead eyes is going to be enough until you finally swap onto a different hero? Second Wind have 19 seconds to try and make this work, and they're EMP'd.
Oh, and Frill jumped away from his team, so the Tesla cannon is not going to be with Second Wind there. Right when Frill jumped, Logic's used that EMP, and now A10 is gone. There's only 7 seconds left. Are they going to even be able to make it onto the payload? Oh,
it's a lot of castles to navigate right here, and nope, no Marauders map available for Second Wind to find that cart, so that's where the buck stops.
Yeah, the reset killing Second Wind there. really a heads-up play from Logic. Those are the types of things that might not even happen on purpose, right? That EMP was probably going through regardless of where Frill was, but because Frill was away from his team, he had just used his jump to get into the castle, right? He couldn't body block, he couldn't bubble, he couldn't get to his team, and in that situation, that's what Second Wind needed.
Exactly. They needed, you know, maybe a little bit more than just that cowboy twang, because A10, you know, a very notable Zarya player, having a hard time finding his footing with this McCree, and it's not even really just on the shoulders of that McCree. You know, we all know it from our ranked games, right? They have a Pharah, somebody go hit scan, just go hit scan. It's not an automatic fix for all of your problems. It takes, you know, a lot of concerted focus fire to bring a Pharah out of the air, especially one of the quality of Naga.
It's like he was at the shoe store and like really loved a pair of shoes, but they only had sizes too small for him. But he bought the shoes anyway.
Exactly.
Right? He bought the shoes anyway.
It'll stretch.
Yeah, hoping that it'll stretch. He got the wide version of the shoe, so fingers crossed. But eventually the shoe just becomes too uncomfortable. You give up, and you have to take the shoe off. And I think that A10 needed to switch things up. The Pharah in the sky, while doing very well from Naga's perspective, I think a lot of it was there is a point where the McCree actually gives you less pressure. If you're not hitting your shots, you're kind of just there.
If you're not in position to hit those shots, right? If you don't have the space, the resource. And so Montreal Rebellion gonna mount their own attack here with no surprises, just a little bit more goats v goats. But I like that Second Wind not going to be, you know, trying any shenanigans here on their defense, because as we all know, you know, if one member falls, you're essentially giving up the entire point. Unless you're NYXL, they could always somehow seem to be able to pull out of defense.
That is true. They're very well known for that clutch factor. Let's see. Both these teams, I assume, in this series are going to have to pull it out. Second Wind playing for a bye. Montreal trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. Remember, you don't know who create. And Logis is trying to figure out what number 6 is going to be for Montreal Rebellion, because they're looking for that 6th seed, and getting a pick onto Hello on Halo to start things off on their attacking side is a really good start for Montreal Rebellion. Oh, Russ will fall after A10's death here for Second Wind. This is not the Second Wind we saw at the beginning of the season. They do have a little bit more practice than the hour that they needed last week, but we're kind of seeing a little bit of that new blood happening right now in terms of that communication. A10 on the McCree for so long. Not a lot of combos happening for Second Wind either.
Yeah, not just as of yet. They haven't really had a chance for that clean engage, and now A10 might just be staggered out again. Montreal Rebellion really trying to feel that pressure.
So Graviton Surge is a really nice choke point, but Second Wind gonna find that blood. 65 now for them, and they have to race all the way back to the payload to complete this defense. Did you just see how much Second Wind had to move around the map just to get Montreal Rebellion off of this payload? Look what Montreal has when they come right back here.
Yeah, Transcendence available, Earth Shatter, you got Rally. Second Wind, though, now have the better positional advantage. They're going to try and force Montreal to use one of those ultimates to get out and spawn before you get that, you know, full 6v6 smashing your heads together. This is actually really crucial, since Second Wind is running that GOATS composition, to own this choke. Otherwise, Montreal have so many avenues to try and attack and engage. As it is now, they kind of essentially have to claim point A.
Graviton Surge going to lock up a lot of Montreal Rebellion. Self-destruct is out, but the sound barrier going to keep a lot of members alive. That was almost really bad news if they didn't have those over shields. Second Wind or Montreal Rebellion might not have bodies to be competing onto this payload. Second Wind now does have Earth Shadow, first one on the other side. This is potentially the battle of the Earth Shadows. The first one's going to be coming from Frill. 3 members are down. He ain't going to get that kill. Sharik's going to go ahead and use one himself. Uzire going to fall victim there. Naga as well. So Montreal Rebellion still have an opportunity here to push this payload even for a Second Wind. Are going to be without some members of their team for a little while longer. Are they going to be able to make it past this bet?
Unclear as of yet. Looks likely, though, Barbie has to try and just stall out the payload, and gives A10 the chance to escape here with his life, and more importantly, energy still intact, as that is crucial for that Zarya to get close to that grab. A10 still 20% away. So Montreal Rebellion working with quite a few tools right here, and now they have broken out into this open ground on the bridge. You've seen quite a few boop shenanigans. So hello, I'm Halo Tensa, gonna be playing that frog v frog bopping game.
Well, there's also over 3 minutes left in Montreal Rebellion, so they're totally cool with losing this fight. Graviton Surge might actually be a big great play there as they actually got gonna eat it. I'll finish that a little bit later. Second win now. Gonna go ahead and use that sound barrier to keep everyone alive. Montreal Rebellion gonna go ahead and invest everything that they got here. They want to finish this off right here and right now. They did layer those support ultimates, but it will not matter as they are able to grab this fight. Hey, I'm not the one coaching this team. What I was trying to say is they could go ahead and use this grab. Second one uses all of their ults on that fight. That's an easy one coming through on the next one, but they decide to do it all right here, right now.
I mean, we've had like already a 5-game set today. So Montreal, they're like, hey, I think we can win it right here. There's a very close moment where, Montreal almost got the boot kill onto Barbie. He woke up just in time, able to get back onto the bridge, but Montreal with a substantial lead here, 2-0 heading into the half.
And it's been very, very quick so far. The first round, it was slightly more competitive on Second Wind's side, but only the first round of the first round in that instance. This team from Second Wind is having a little bit of a hard time at gelling together. I didn't really feel like they were able to get anything going on Ike, and while Naga in the Sky was a huge factor before that, but that wasn't the whole story.
No, I mean, when you're uncontested as a Pharah, you're essentially shooting fish in a barrel, right? And so with the lack of pressure on him, he was certainly able to do a lot of damage, as you would expect. It might have been a bit of a different story if Second Wind had, kind of focused more resources on keeping Naga caged, right? So Montreal, though, looking very good. I mean, they really want to be in playoffs.
Peaking at the right time, perhaps, and they're really looking for the 4-0, which looks to be achievable based off of what we've seen so far, because they're competing with Uprising Academy for that 6th spot. Second Win is competing against Fusion University for the bye. And so there's still a lot on the line, but Montreal in total control right now. Let's see if they'll maintain control after the break.